All right. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good whatever time of day it is and whatever part of the world you're at right now. Welcome back to my channel, ASKnowlin. For this lesson, we're going to do part 2 of the use of systems of equations to solve word problems. So if you already watched part 1 of the video of this lesson, then you already know how we came up with our equations. So for this video, we're just going to spend time actually solving the system and then writing the answers in context. So let's go ahead and take a look. Number one, the way that I would suggest going about solving this is just through elimination. Most of these problems here, we're probably going to use elimination in some form or fashion. Okay, so if we notice, all of the coefficients for each variable in each equation is 1. Well, positive 1 for most of them, and then for the y in the second equation, it's negative 1. But that's a key feature. So let me use this space over here. This is really 1x plus 1y equals 30, and then 1x minus 1y equals 12. Now, when we eliminate, we have to have opposite coefficients. They have to be the same number, but they have to be opposites. And the variable that's already accomplishing that is the y. Both of them are opposites. So now I can go ahead and add. I don't have to really do anything else to this equation. So I'm going to add these two. When I add the x's, that becomes 2x plus 0, because positive 1y and negative 1y together make 0. And then that's going to equal 42. 30 plus 12 is 42. So really we have 2x equals 42. Divide both sides by 2, and x is equal to 21. Now that we know that x is equal to 21, we want to plug that into the second equation. And the second equation, back into one of the equations. We can plug it in. I'm going to plug it into the second one. So we have 1x minus 1y equals 12. That's 1 times 21 minus 1y equals 12. So that's going to be 21 minus 1y equals 12. Subtract 21 on both sides, and 12 minus 21 is negative 9. So we get negative 1y equals negative 9. Divide both sides by negative 1, and y equals positive 9. So the first number is 21, and the second number is equal to, or the second number is 9. Okay, let's go to number 3. Number 3. Once again, we want to use elimination, but we want to figure out which variable to eliminate first. For the sake of this one, both of the x's already have the same coefficient, but they're not opposites. Both of their coefficients are 1. However, I need one of them to be a negative 1. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to multiply the first equation by negative 1. So I'm going to multiply the first one by negative 1. So negative 1 times the first equation, which is x minus y equals 9. So when I do that now, that's going to give me this new one. Negative 1x plus 1y equals 9. And then I just bring the second equation all the way over. That's just going to give me positive 1x plus 2y equals 29. And not 29, but 27. And let me go back. I made a mistake with that positive 9. Really, if I'm distributing right here, we have to distribute the negative 1 to the x, to the negative y, and to the positive 9. So negative 1 times positive 9 is really negative 9. So this should say negative 9. Now that I have both of my x terms as opposites, I can go ahead and add. So when I add, that's going to give me 0 plus 3y equals 18, because negative 9 and positive 27 make positive 18, and that essentially is just 3y equals 18. Divide both sides by 3, y is equal to 6. Now let's go ahead and solve for x by plugging it back into one of the equations. I'm gonna plug it into the second equation. So we have x plus 2y equals 27. That's really x plus 2 times 6 equals 27. That's going to be x plus 12 equals 27. And when we subtract 27 and 12, x becomes 15. So x is 15, y is 6. So that means that the first number is 15 and the second number is 6. Okay. Number 5. Once again, neither one of our variables are opposites. However, if I wanted to eliminate the x term, I can multiply the first equation by -3. So the first thing I'm going to do is multiply the entire first equation by -3. So when I do that, that becomes, my new equation becomes -3x minus 3y equals -60. And then I just bring the second equation on over. 3x, positive 3x, -2y equals positive 40. Now that has happened, now that I have opposites for my x term, I can go ahead and eliminate those. I'm going to go ahead and add. So when I add, that becomes 0 minus 5y equals, now, -60, positive 40, that's going to make -20. And now that really says -5y equals -20. And if we divide both sides by -5, y will be equal to positive 4. Okay. Now let's go ahead and find the first number, which is x. Okay. Because we said the second number, we want to let y represent the second number. So to find x, I'm going to plug in y into the first equation. The first equation was x plus y equals 20. I'm going to plug in y for 4 for y, so that's x plus 4 equals 20, okay? And subtract 4 from both sides, x is equal to 16, all right? So, first number is 16, and the second number is equal to 4, all right? Number 7, let's keep it moving, rolling right along. All right, now we have decimals here. So usually when we use decimals in math, or when there's a use of decimals, adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, this is one of those times where it's okay to use a calculator. So on my end, you all can't see it, but I'm gonna plug in some. If I have to multiply, add, and subtract just to get through the problem efficiently, I'm gonna use my calculator. Okay, so once again, we want to eliminate one of the variables first. And in both of these, none of the variables are multiples of one another. However, I can multiply both of the equations by a particular number, and we can get our opposites that way. So what I'm going to choose to do is multiply the first equation, because I'm going to eliminate the e's first. So I'm going to multiply the first equation by -2. Okay, no, excuse me. I'm going to multiply the first equation by positive 2. And I'm going to multiply the second equation by -3. So I said I'm going to multiply the first one by positive 2. And we're going to multiply the second one by -3. And this should get our e's to match up. So my first equation is going to now be positive 6e plus 8n equals 26 point, what's that? Not 26.50, but, oh yeah, 26.50. That was right, yeah, 26.50. And for the second equation, that second equation is now going to become -6e minus 18n is equal to -51. Okay. Now that we've achieved that part, we know we can go ahead and eliminate our e's, okay, by adding. So that's going to make 0. Positive 8n plus negative 18n is negative 10n. And that's going to be equal to, we have to do 51 minus 26.50. That's going to give me negative, well, the answer's going to be negative. So that's going to be negative 24.50. Okay. And if I come up here, now we really just have negative 10n equals negative 24.50. And to solve for n, we're going to divide both sides by negative 10. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. And when you divide a number by 10, you essentially move the decimal to the left, okay, one time. So if I move the decimal to the left one time, my final answer is going to be n is equal to positive 2.45. And I'm going to circle that. Now that we've solved for n, we need to now go back and solve for e. So we get to plug n into one of the equations. I'm going to pick the second equation. So the second equation reads 2e plus 6n equals 17. And now we know that I'm going to plug in for n, we're going to plug in 2.45. So 2e plus 6 times 2.45 is equal to 17. So 6 times 2.45 is equal to 14.70. So we have 2e plus 14.70 equals 17. And now we do 17 minus 14.70. And that's going to equal 2.30. So we really have 2e equals 2.30. And we divide that by 2. Divide both sides by 2. And e is going to equal 1.15. So let's go back to our problem. We said e represented envelopes and n represents notebooks. And we were finding the cost. So cost of notebook, right? Cost of notebooks was $2.45. And the cost of the envelopes is $1.15. Okay? Let's take a look at number 9. Number 9. Here, once again, we have to do some manipulating for both of the equations, okay? This time, I'm gonna eliminate the n's first. So for number 9, I'm gonna multiply the first equation, Gabby's equation, by positive 3, and I'm gonna multiply Sydney's equation by negative 5. So Gabby's equation, we're gonna multiply by positive 3. Sydney's equation, we're going to multiply by negative 5, and that'll help us get our opposites. So what is those new equations going to look like? Positive 3, so that's going to be 12p plus 15n equals 6.71 times 3 is equal to 20.13. Okay, so that's the new first equation. Sydney's equation is going to turn into negative 25p minus 15n equals negative, and we do 5 times 7.12. Oops, clear. 5 times 7.12. 7.12, that equals 35.6. So it's going to be negative 35.60. Now that our n terms are opposites, we can go ahead and add to eliminate. So when I add positive 12p plus negative 25p makes negative 13p. plus 0 equals. Now, we have 35.60 minus 20.13. That's going to equal 15.47. It's going to equal a negative 15.47. Okay? Because the 35 is bigger than the 20, and when we combine them, there's still going to be negatives left over. Now, when we finish simplifying this should say negative 13p equals negative 15.47, and we're going to divide both sides by 13. And when we do that, by negative 13, and a negative divided by a negative is a positive, so p is going to be equal to 1.19. Now that we know what p is equal to, we need to plug p into one of the equations. I'm going to plug p back into the first equation. So the first equation reads 4p plus 5n equals 6.71. And we know that p is equal to 1.19, so that's going to be 4 times 1.19 plus 5n equals 6.71. So 4 times 1.19 equals 4.76 plus 5n equals 6.71. And we have to subtract 4.76 from 6.71. All right? So when we do that, we got 6.71 minus 4.76. That's going to equal 1.95. And now we finish off by dividing both sides by 5. So when we do that, divide 1.95 by 5, we get 0.39. So now we know that the cost of pens is $1.19, while pencils only cost 39 cents. All right, so we'll stop there. The main goal of this lesson was to really learn how to write the equations and set up the system of equations based on the word problem. I'll see y'all for the next lesson. Deuces.